Okay. First thing, I want to thank everybody for showing up this afternoon. It's a beautiful day today at the ranch, as always. Please turn your cell phones off or put them on mute during the meeting. And can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance Thank you. Okay, make note that all the board members are present, so we've established a quorum. This is a owners meeting only, so please, any non-owners will have to leave. I'd like to introduce Juan Zepeda, our maintenance supervisor. Stephanie Burnside, our general manager. This is Keith Lavery, who is the Senior VP and CFO at Associa in Palm Desert. And there's going to be part of the agenda later, which I'll go and we'll talk more with him. So, are there any new owners that want to come up and introduce themselves? Come on now, I know we have some. Come on up, right over here, sir. Don't be bashful.
Good afternoon. My name is Dennis Wallace. We have site 311. We've been here about 4 months and just loving it. We're not leaving.
Another one.
Hi, I'm Candy Alphin, and my husband Randy is back there, and he didn't want to come up here. We're in spot 423. We bought last March. You might know it as the Arnold Palmer spot. Yeah, so we love it here. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Okay, next on the agenda will be Denise to announce the meeting rules.
Am I on? Can you hear me? Is that a yes? Okay. As we always state, but we want to state it every single meeting, please allow us to get through the agenda before your questions. Please don't yell out and interrupt. We may very well answer many of your questions going through the agenda. Directly from Davis Sterling, any disruptive behavior, members do not have unlimited free speech rights. The right to address the board does not give the members the right to shout, use profanity, or make obscene or threatening remarks. Accordingly, if there is any disruptive behavior from the audience, this meeting may be adjourned immediately. Appreciate your patience and cooperation. I'm next. I'm still up. Hello. This time I would like to make a motion for the board to approve the minutes of September 23rd.
Second motion.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, those minutes will be finished out and posted to the website. We also have had many executive committee meetings, some of them to do with owner issues, owner threats to the board members, etc. Some, many to do with delinquent accounts. We've been able to bring many accounts forward. Stephanie will speak to that later. So I need to make a motion of the board to approve the executive session meetings from 10:19, 10:25, 11:22, 12:04, 12:06, 12:12, 1:03, 1:04, and 1:21. All in favor? Thank you. So, in case you can't tell, we have been working a lot. Next, we'll have the treasurer's report from Ron Merritt.
All right. Real quick, Ron, sorry, but as you guys are going through the financials, I know there'll be questions. So please, we can't have people asking questions from the audience. At the end of the presentation, we'll have you come up and speak and ask questions. So please write down questions now. Don't blurt them out. Thank you.
All right. Can everyone hear me? Very good. You have a packet of the financials that was handed out at the front door. So I'm just going to page through them and kind of go over some of the highlights, some of the things you might want to pay particular attention to. Like I said, at the end we'll have questions. We can get into the details if you'd like. Please be kind. I've only been the treasurer for like a week and a half. So I put this together hoping that it would explain better for you. The computer will cooperate with me. The first page is the revenue. That's the total income we expect to come in. And as you can see, it's a considerable amount. It's slightly down from last year, but it's 3.254371 million. You can see the bulk is in our monthly assessments, and then we have other areas of income such as electric income and propane sales, the modest amount of lease income and the golf course income, some architectural fees, the laundry, things like this. We have quite a breakdown from Associa, from our accounting system, to support these values. Like I said, 3254371. The next page, we get into expenses, and these are the budget we settled on that we're going to manage to. And you can see there's quite a long list of items. I'm not going to go into all of them here. On the next pages, there's a comparative to the 2017 budget and the 2017 actual, and that'll tell the story of how we got to the budget. But this listing here, you can see is all the money, all the items in the categories that we will spend money on, and the bulk of it, about half, as you may imagine, is the salaries of all the workers that we have. We have 30 people, 28 people, 29 people. So that's a considerable amount of money, and I'll get into where that is. And then we have things like legal and reimbursable items. We do pay some taxes, and then our reserve contribution, and we'll discuss that too. But again, that balances to the expected revenue of 3254371. All right. Now this is what tells the story. This is a comparative I prepared for you. Again, it follows the same order as the other. It starts out with revenue. And as you can see, our monthly assessments slightly up from 2017. Of course, the budget and the actual, that's easy to forecast. And then with the dues increase to 420, it gets us to 2977760. So that's the bulk of the revenue coming in. You can see that most items are slightly up or hold to the same numbers. There were some credits here like this pool fees. That's just an accounting thing where that ended up. The DSL cable, you can see, since we've offloaded the internet service to IDS, that revenue is off our books, the expense is off our books. So that's the big driver why the revenue went down slightly, is because we don't have that. But then again, when we get to the expense, we don't also have the cost of it either. Okay, getting into the expenses, you'll see. Let me just explain to this sheet how it works. These numbers to the left, the GL numbers, those are our general ledger accounts. That's how when invoices come in, the accountants will code them so they appear in the right bucket so we can compare it to our budget. So one invoice for something like on the cafe may actually hit in a couple of the different areas. So anyway, so as you can see, the 2017 budget, the next column is 2017 actual, and then the budget for 2018. And then the variance column is the variance between the 2017 budget and the 2018 budget. It's 17 minus 18 equals that variance. So the positive numbers are numbers that are less than. A negative number means it's over. So you can see what are our big savings? Well, we had the way we handled the general administrative costs. We're expecting a little less, and it's also covering two buckets. You get down to the salaries, line 5,300. When we budgeted 2017, it was all in this one bucket, $1,097,000. None of these other things were separated out, the payroll taxes, the unemployment, workers' compensation, those things. So you have to add all these up to see how they compare, but it's about 2% more than it was last year. That was, the employees hadn't gotten raises in many years, so that and just the growth in rates for unemployment and those things. So you can see that number's under, but these are over, so it's still over a little bit. The insurance premiums, as you see, what we have for the D&O insurance, when we started discussing the budget in is it November, December, all the insurance companies were rumbling that there was going to be big increases for us. Well, we went out for competitive bids on insurance, and we actually came in a little under what's shown here for the general liability insurance. Our $79,000 budget, we're going to have to pay almost $64,000 instead. However, the D&O insurance that we thought was going to be $4,641 is like $10,000, so that washes it out a little bit. So there's a potential savings there on the liability. We have other items in this budget that are at risk. When we get down to it, I'll show you, namely the legal fees. There's always a potential that could go over. So I think that savings probably needs to sit here, and it's going to cover other items that we may end up having to pay more on. Health benefits, as you can see, it's slightly less than what we had in 2017. A little less than what we had for an actual in 2017. Moving on, electric service, of course, that shows a big savings, but it's not. It's 136,000 of it is in another category. So it's about the same as what is shown here. Let's see, what else is going up? The telephone service, of course, that's in two buckets. There's the internet for the operation, and then there's telephones. So the phones are going down in this, but the internet is going up, so it's a wash there. Let's see, a lot of these are just slightly off of what we had in the previous year. We expect the water testing to be a little less. We expect the tree trimming to be a good bit more. Remember, we had the big property acquisition this last year, so we have more trees, more grass, more everything to take care of, so that hits your maintenance budget. So line 6160 has gone up a little bit, and the irrigation number has also gone up quite a bit. Get down to safety and security, that's another item that had considerable growth. We did add more effort to the security. That costs money. Securitas was going to charge us even more than this. We bid out the security. The new company, MPS, they came in at $214, $216, which was considerably less. So we made the change. There were also other issues surrounding that change, but it went up, but not as much as it was going to go up. So anyway, the maintenance budgets across the board, the departments here are fairly close to what we had this last year in the actual spend. Let's see. Yes, reimbursable electric usage. We had nothing in this bucket. That's just an accounting thing. We expect 136, so that shows over the old budget. And then to meet the new reserve study that we did, or we had done by an expert, required us to put more in the reserves. So that number has gone up to match the contribution we're all making, the $75 of your dues going into the reserve fund. So you can see expenses are less, but income's less. So that's the result. The next sheet in your packet is the balance sheet. this is a listing of the monies we have on hand and the asset valuations. So that's, Associa produces this, I don't produce this, but you can see all of our accounts. They've accounted for them at the end of December now, mind you. We have 2,589, 890 on hand to cover our operations and, and the reserves, again, 2,329, 120. Then there's some other items like accounts receivable, things that you put in the liabilities you have outstanding at the time, taxes owed at the time, and accrued expenses at the time. Anyway, that all comes down to a total valuation of $5.297 million. Now, what this doesn't show you is we have this construction deficit fund. You know, those are the results of the lawsuit from the original builder of the resort. Currently, that account, we've used some out of it for things that we've had to do. But that is not accounted for by Associa. That's in a separate investment with a financial advisor. We have $3.7 million in that. So that money, we, you know, by the will of the owners, have constrained how we deal with that money. That's for things that were wrong with the resort, not wear and tear and repairs, but things that were missing, like the maintenance building will probably come out of it, you know. So anyway, so that's not in these figures. But you can see with the reserve projects we've had, excuse me, let me back up a little bit. We're down $233,903 from previous. Okay. The next item in your packet is the reserve listing. And what you want to look at is the year-to-date column in the middle of the sheet. It's actual for 12 months. And essentially this shows you that for reserve projects, these are, you know, new things that we built. We put in $611,000 in reserves, and we spent $752,000. So we overspent. The way that was done is because of budgeting. $140,000. So what's in this? What's in the 752? Well, the way this is listed, these are just the accounting buckets. So I'm struggling here showing it to you, but some big items are the common area expenses. That's $234, and the construction expenses of $132. Fences, things like that, they're all listed there. But that doesn't really tell you much. That's just accounting buckets. What you want to look at is the next page, which is a listing of projects. This gives you more explanation of what we spent this money on. And we've discussed these along the way, but here it's all handy right here in one list. Like we bought new mowers and trimmers. We had roof repairs to the clubhouses. We had replacement of ashtrays and perimeter fence and signs, just regular equipment that we use that's been replaced. We had a vehicle that we talked about last spring. The desert landscaping around the front areas, you see that was $28,000. Speed bump installation, the fitness center remodel. The big item is the internet. We had a lot of wiring projects to do to bring in the high-speed internet. So there was a lot of work around that. The restoration of the cafe, $115,000 that Denise will get into. And then the work up at the front offices, the security cameras, $87,000. The new well was $79,000. Irrigation timers we had, and then the vault overhaul. So you can see this number is slightly higher than what's shown on the financials. And that's because this list kind of spans a little of 2016, and it includes work that's going to continue here into 18. So it doesn't quite marry up, and you wouldn't intend it to. The other is just in the bookkeeping of the invoices that have come in. So this is the listing as it stands now, and as we proceed, this list will, add to, and other items will be closed out. And that is the end of my presentation on the budget. Like I said, please study it. I think what will be helpful to you the most is the listing to compare the old budget to the new budget and the actual spend for the year. That kind of tells the story. All right.
Thank you, Ron. Very straightforward numbers, and the way he presented them was excellent. Thank you very much. Next, Stephanie and I will discuss the assessment delinquencies.
Hello, everyone. So we have some good news and we have some bad news. The bad news is that we have about 9 owners that are continually delinquent, and that totals about $21,000 of unpaid dues. The good news is that's down from last year this time. That was about 20 owners and about $45,000. And of those 9 owners, we have a payment plan with 6 people, and all except for 1 are keeping with the payment plan, and 3 of them are going to be going to collections, and that 1 other might be joining them. So just a reminder, if you go past two months past due, then you will go on our radar and you'll probably hear from me, and it's going to start costing you extra money. So please pay your dues.
And as Denise said earlier, for folks that are not current, probably they will not be allowed to vote in the elections, and we will take action against them. So we'll be serving notice to those people probably next week sometime. Also, we want you to know that, as mentioned earlier, that we have been going into executive session with these people, working out plans with them, trying to get them current. We're not trying to be hardcore. We want to get these people current. We don't want to make anybody's life miserable. Some people have legitimate money problems, and we're working with them. But the other people, the ones that are just flakes, sorry, we're not working with them. We're going after them. So that's the way it's going to be.
Mike, I'd add that Associate has been a big help in bringing a management company in addressing that as a topic and working on it and chasing after people that won't pay. So, that's one good thing about having a management company that's come to the table is helping us with these collections.
It's very true. Okay, next subject will be Market Cafe update. Denise?
In case anybody doesn't know, it's open. This black binder right here is every invoice, everything that's gone on with the cafe in the last year plus. And the total we have spent today for remodeling the cafe is $111,565. We made the decision over a year ago, the board did, that we were going to own most of the bulk of the equipment, mostly because it was already there. So we didn't have to replace much of the equipment, and that way the tenant can come in and provide meals for us and not hopefully be able to make money, so they'll stay. So that's the whole point of that. We still have a few things coming in and going on. Unfortunately, we thought we were done with the inside, and the ice machine broke, so we had to buy a new ice machine for $4,000. So, things come up and things get repaired as best we can. We have a great maintenance crew that's done a fabulous, fabulous job. I can't give Juan and his crew enough kudos for all the work they did. Larry Turman came in. Larry Turman came in and helped us dismantle the salamander that the cleaning company was supposed to do, and helped us get that working. And that was down to the wire, and that's what put us over the top to get things done. So thank you, Larry. And Scott Rich Gruber has worked incredible amount of hours on this, so there's a lot of volunteers that have gone into this, but it's done. We're thrilled. We still need to stripe the parking lot. We're still working on hopefully getting the fire pit ring, a gas line run to it, to have it open. So that's all we have for now.
And also, you gave kudos to Scott, but Denise has countless hours working on that project, and she did an outstanding job in my opinion. Okay, next we're going to be discussing well and water update. Juan?
How's everyone? Good. Okay, so I'm going to start by explaining we're getting 3 new water tanks up at the main tank. The reason why we're doing this is the main tank needs servicing. Hasn't been serviced in the past 10 years or so, so it's due. By adding these 3 tanks, we can take down the main tank, do the service that it needs done, and we can still provide water for you guys. Unfortunately, the county's been a little hard as far as getting the permits. We submitted this, it's going to be a year. It's going to be about a year now. So we finally heard back from fire, and I think the other one was one other branch from the county. They took the initial application in. They got back with the comments, wherever reapplied for those. So those are almost done. There's one though that they're giving us a really hard time, and it's going to take some time to do this. The tank is going to have to be down for probably 3 to 5 days, give or take. You see why we want, this is why we need the 3 tanks. We don't want to leave you guys with the water for five days. That's a lot of time. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so unfortunately, it's up to the county now. We're just waiting on the permits. As soon as the permits come in, everything else is lined up. As soon as those permits come through, we'll move forward on it. And that's it for that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Juan. One comment I would like to make is until I got on the board and I actually started working with these projects, I had no idea of working with the county. It just amazes me what a bunch of nincompoops those people are. And they just cause us so much grief. It's amazing to me. Anyway, that's a whole other subject, but these things that take us forever to get done, ordinarily, we're ready to go on them. We're waiting for something from the county ordinarily. So now we're going to go to the maintenance building, and Ron and I will talk about that, or Ron will talk about it.
All right, the maintenance building, the infamous maintenance building. I prepared some things to show you on the maintenance building, but the big, we're at the cusp of stuff starting to move now. We've received our detailed drawings from Borga, the building manufacturer. The building code had changed. All the drawings had to be redone, and that took longer to get to me. They're ready to go. If we approve those drawings, they're ready to start manufacturing the building, and it'd be here in 6 weeks. Well, we all know that the approval process with the county is going to be a lot greater than that. So we're going to hold on those drawings. Additionally, we want our architect to look at and approve them, make sure there's no details in there that need to change if there's something we've overlooked. So that package is going to go to the architect. Who's the architect? Well, we are interviewing architects right now. We've had one guy out, and I'm very encouraged by what he said. He can shepherd us through this whole process, through the Planning Commission, and getting all of our permits. The county wants us to go. They've given us indication that they're going to help us get approved, but you still have to go through all these motions. If you recall at the last meeting, I had asked for volunteers to help me on a committee, and I got crickets. So Mike has conned one of our owners into helping me, Richard Kane, and of course Juan is going to be on our committee. In fact, Juan is looking at the utilities. We're going to have to connect to septic somehow up there. And the power is probably not a problem. It's just a lengthy time to get it approved and connected. And of course, there's potable water. I think we probably can solve that really easily. So anyway, next week we have 2 more architects to talk to, and then we're going to select one. And I envision in the next 2 weeks, we will pick one and start moving forward. The first thing they will do is give us a rendering. Well, first they're going to tell us about issues. They're going over the drawings I have in hand that they're going to look at, and one already suggested a couple of minor changes on the interior that would be helpful. Then we're going to, he'll proceed with a rendering set of plans, taking into account any changes that happened in the building. And then we'll go for the Planning Commission in getting that approved so that we can proceed forward with our permit application. And yeah, so lots going to happen soon, but I wanted to show you a couple of things. And I don't know if you've all seen any of this before. Essentially, this is the exterior. These are the plans earlier developed 2 years ago for the building, and we haven't changed anything on the building. It's still 50 feet deep, 150 feet long. It has 2 large roll-up doors, several man doors, and on the back it's got a lean-to for storing outside equipment, chemicals, and those kind of things. So it's really a large building. But on the interior, we have our contractor will build these interior spaces. The building is just a shell. You just buy the shell. So we'll have to insulate it, put the lighting in, the plumbing, ventilation, and build these interior spaces. And what these will do is there'll be bathrooms and the showers for the employees. There'll be a break room, a little kitchenette. In the upper level, there'll be offices, so we can do all the things to manage people. I think one of these is Juan's office. And then on the other end of the building, initially there was going to be some kind of crafts room for owners. We can't be doing that. We can't have owners traipsing over to the maintenance yard and doing anything over there. There's no reason for an owner to go over there. This is good. But what we do need is a meeting room that we can gather all the employees together and give them their safety orientations, their employment orientations, and give them their orders for the day before they head out into the resort. So this is going to be a room for that purpose, and it's big enough. In the interior is open shop space, so this all the work, fixing our equipment, storing our equipment. There'll be skylights, so it's a fairly large building. And you can see what we got now. I took this the other day, and it isn't pretty, but they're getting it done, even having to work in these conditions. So this will all get cleaned up, and this will be our RV, some more RV storage, which the revenue from that will help us offset these continually escalating expenses. So anyway, where's it going to go? Well, we've talked about this before, and the poor doggy park is where it's going to go, up front. And you can see this is the area, and what you don't see, this is a big hillside. There's rocks and a steep incline. There's a flat space, and we own to right out here where this driveway comes in on the right. It's kind of got an angle to it. The stake is down in the trees, and it kind of goes up. So how is it going to fit on there? Well, the architect is going to give us some options on layouts. We talked about if the roadway could move, maybe the roadway could move to the backside of the building, we'd use all that flat space. If not, if it's deemed a public road and we can't move it, then we'll have to fit it on the site. We may have to excavate out and do a retaining wall. It just depends on, we may have to bring up the site because there's floods back there. So he's looking at if it's in the floodplain or not. But I did take, and it's roughly to scale, I put the box on this space. And as you can see, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a tight fit on this space. And we're going to have an entranceway into the resort right here. So the mowers will come across and they will come into the resort through a dedicated gate for them. So they don't have to go through the main gate. There may be some employee parking here. We're going to have a place for the dumpsters that we have out here and some other considerations. So we may end up moving a bunch of rocks and moving a lot of dirt. It really depends. Our last option, if all else fails, is since this is a pre-engineered building, each bay is basically the same design. So you could take the middle bay out, shrink the building just a little, and get you more room. It depends on what they do to us on the requirements for the county, and also the particulars of this site. But anyway, So I wanted to have something to show you, and this is what it is.
Thank you, Ron. Just so you all know, I don't know how many people know Ron, but he's a project director coordinator for a big gazillion-dollar corporation that builds gazillion-dollar projects around the state, so he's a smart guy. And he's the guy to have working on this project. He'll really put it together for us.
I still could use some more help. So if any of you have, one thing that when we start building this thing, somebody's got to be in the field watching this contractor every day. And I'm not going to be here every day. So I need people with construction experience that could, you know, make sure these guys don't rob us blind and watch the work going in that does quality, value for money on the construction services when we get to that point. So anyway, come see me if you'd like to participate, even if you just like to be on the know and give your input. I'd appreciate it.
Thanks. Okay, next on the agenda would be the DSL update. I think you guys already discussed it. Is there more you want to say on that?
No, it's done. It's 100% up and running. There might be a few more things that Steve and the IDS group are doing, a few more trenches to dig, but if your contract with your existing third-party vendor is coming up to an end, I would suggest signing on with IDS. They're doing a great job.
I agree. They're doing a great job. Okay, then let's get into committees. Architectural committee.
Okay. First, I'd like to say most of you probably know who I am from the architectural committee. Is where I started. If you don't, my name is Frank Ojeda. I am kind of the chairperson of the architectural committee. I do have a helper sitting in the back there, Jeff Lay. He comes out with me and helps does some of the checks on things. That's where I started. That's how I got roped into doing this. So just wanted to let you know of all the projects that were done over the past year, and some of those are still actually continuing into this year, and I'm sure there'll be more coming, just so that you know what's been going on around the resort. I know a lot of you have seen some of the build-outs and stuff, and most of you know where you've called it Kmart, Walmart, you know, all the Costco, the big giant one out there on 340. But we've had a total of 12 build-outs, which means that they're all fully constructed, concrete, stucco, that kind of stuff. We've had a total of 12 of those. We've had 30 aluminum structures go up, whether or not they were doing retaining walls with the aluminum or whether they just did an aluminum structure. We've had 30 of those this year, 33 landscaping projects, and all those include tree trimming, paving, planting of plants, flowers. I just threw the whole mix in as landscaping. And then we've also had 10 conversions of the grass palapas to comp shingle roofs, which is actually a fire safety issue. Me being a former firefighter, you know, I'm not real fond of the grass on there because if those things ignite, so is many other things here. We can't tell you to replace them right now, but as they need replacing, those are the things you're going to have to think about, because you have synthetic stuff that you can purchase to replace them with, or you have to go comp shingle, or in the big picture you can tear it down and put aluminum wood or something else. But eventually most of those will be gone from the resort. So that's it for now. For the architectural, like I said, there's probably a half a dozen projects that are carrying on right now. They're coming to an end, hopefully soon. Some of them will be, some of them are just getting started, so I'm sure there'll be a lot more coming this year. Moving on to the 10-year rule committee, thank you all for acknowledging that you needed a change. The RV, with that change, we introduced an RV committee so that we go out and look at those RVs. Thanks to Fairway, who actually started that process years ago. We actually got the checkoff list from them. They already pre-set one up for them. They were going to present it to the board a few years back. Actually, I don't know if they ever got a chance to do it or not, but we ended up taking that sheet, tweaking it just a little bit to what its current state is now. And my committee members are owners here in the resort, and I tried to leave myself and the board and GM as a last resort. I have 6 owners here that are volunteering to come out and do this. I have Rob Perry, Al Zayas, Stephen Nolan, Mike Brown Jr., Pete Gilmore, and Ken Pettigrew. So all these people have volunteered their time to come out when it happens, when we get a rig here. Some people that have older rigs that want to sell it. Jeff Lay, he's also offered to be on this one also. So if people want to sell their rigs here and they're over 10 years old and somebody else wants to buy it, that's what we do, is we go out, we do the checkoff list, we determine what needs to get done, whether it's okay to just move it from one lot to the next, or whether or not they have to do some stuff to it before they can do that. Unfortunately, yeah, it does cost a few bucks to fix some of them, but that's, you know, dependent upon who's buying it. What we've done with Fairway is we've come together and we've discussed that if you're renting here less than 30 days, what we do is we just do a physical, actually an eye check. We don't actually do the actual physical. So they send pictures in, or we can even see it when they get here. And we just keep a file on them. If they're frequent visitors, we'll keep a file, we'll take some pictures. They can come in for less than 30 days and then they can leave. If they want to come back, we'll make sure that we have something written. We'll keep a file. They can come in frequently, and then every 6 months, we'll have them send pictures and make sure nothing's been changed. But for permanent residents, then that's when we get out and we do the checkoff list, and we have 4 or 5 things that keep them from coming in here at all. Which is, you know, like a motorhome has a loud motor, leaky, you know, stuff like that. So the other things is clear coat. Clear coat's a big deal around here. We want to make sure that it's not peeling, cracking. Same thing with all your decals and stuff. We don't want some of them to look as if they've already been here for years. We want to make sure that they're well maintained and that they look good to the eyesight, so that we don't have people coming in asking how come that one's here or that one's here. So, and we've had a lot of people compare a few to grandfathered owners. So this actually can eventually lead into, once that is decided amongst the board and stuff, lead into trying to have owners maintain rigs that haven't been maintained for a while. So, I mean, a yearly wax, a wash and wax isn't that hard. I know it's a little expensive, but that's what we came in here for. We all want to have a nice visual place to be at. So, if you have any questions, you can come see me, talk to any one of the members. They'll let you know. I already have 4 of them to look at now, and when we change this, I actually have probably gone through 20 or 30 RVs already that have been here. So we were pretty busy with all the ones that want to rent and people that want to buy. As you can see, there's 2 that got up that were willing to come up here and embarrass themselves to say, I'm a new owner. So there's a lot of them in here. Welcome. And so that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Frank. Okay, next we're going to talk about the upcoming election. First of all, I want to thank the election committee, Ann Maxwell, Rita Fick, and Mary Haley for all the hard work they do. Thank you, ladies, very much. And actually, Denise is part of the committee too, but since she's one of the ones we're voting on, she can't like be involved in it too much. So, so she's sitting this one out. The application process is closed. There are 5 candidates for 4 positions. The candidates are Scott Johnson, Ron Merritt, Frank Ojeda, Denise Peterson, and John Schaefer. There are officially 4 positions available. 3 of them will be a 2-year elected position. The 4th position, which will be the 4th amount of votes achieved, will be to fill the open spot, which will be for a year. So that's how the process is going to work. You only vote 3 times. If you make any more than 3 votes, the ballot will not count. No, 3 votes. Because the 4th one is for the person who receives the 4th amount of votes. And that'll be assigned the position that's open right now. Yeah, it's explained in the ballot too. So you're voting 3 times for your first 3 choices, and the 4th vote getter will fill that 4th position. Okay? All right, hope I explained that right. The Meet the Candidates will be February 3rd and the 17th right here at the clubhouse at 2 o'clock. We'll meet all 5 candidates will be there to discuss issues. You may submit your questions to me at my website, Mike Gephardt at ranchorvr.com. These questions will be reviewed for any derogatory, mean-spirited in content and or unfair content. And resumes have been sent out that will be available on all the candidates. Again, like we said before a couple times, if any persons are not current on their dues, their votes may not count for this coming election. If you want to pick up a ballot today, they're in the back. I think a lot of you got them when you're coming in. If you didn't, they're available in the back. That'll save us some postage, so please feel free, pick up your ballots. Did I forget something? Okay. As we did last year, the board will not be meeting directly after the election and determine who the office holders are going to be in the positions held. We'll do it later that day and announce it that evening at the dinner. So, if I can turn the page here. I missed a page. Would you get that for me, please? Thank you. You'll be my age someday, son. Oh, I already said that. Okay. Okay, so then I'm done. Oh, okay. Yeah, the new dues have gone up $10 a month to $420 a month, effective the 1st, February 1st. So, okay, so activities with Denise is next.
Hi, guys. We had a budget in 2017 net that we spent out of our activities of $10,247. We have a net projected expense that we can spend, and this is taking what income and what expenses they're projecting, of $26,540. As of right now, we don't have an activities committee. I've been trying to kind of do stuff as we go the last 2 years, literally, and I've had some wonderful people who have stepped up and helped me decorate and stuff. But every single event, I sit here by myself at night after the band and waits for the band to clean up. We've got to get some help. I'm spending way too much time trying to do all this stuff. All I'm supposed to be doing is overseeing the budget. So I would really appreciate help. This is the binder for this year. We're starting to schedule stuff. Louise Ciccarelli has been awesome in finding bands and entertainment and music for us. But there's a lot of planning and decorating and undecorating. Marion and Bev have been incredible at keeping track of our inventory list. We have Joanne Brill, who is going to single-handedly, well, Larry, you're going to help, prepare a meal for us for Valentine's Day. So there are a few people who step up, but it's always the same few, and we really, really, really need to have a committee that's going to step in and do stuff. We simply can't get it done. Also, I'm not going to be remiss, Janice. Janice is doing 2 nights of the comedy cabaret. Tickets will be going on sale shortly for that. So that's what we're doing so far. Upcoming events right now, we're going to shoot to have Super Bowl in here. We're not going to do any food, but we will have the TVs up and running and the boards that we always have. Valentine's dinner dance, of course. Joanne is preparing the entire meal. And we have the dueling pianos. There are only about 30 tickets left that we have to sell, and that will put us at 240 people, which is pretty much the max we can have in this building for dinner. So if you haven't got your tickets, strongly suggest you get them, $10 a ticket. And then of course we have the Cavity Camarades coming up the 10th and the 3rd and the 17th of March. The homeowners dinner dance is on the 10th, which is following the election, and our cafe tenant will be will be catering that event, and I believe it's going to be prime rib and or chicken for the meat, of course. And those tickets will be $10 a person, will be going on sale shortly. The chili cook-off in July, no one's volunteered to do it. So if somebody doesn't step up and do it, and it takes months and months and months of practice. You all know what an incredible job Mike Waddell did last year. Where are you, Mike? There he is. And I think people are afraid to try to match it, but if you want to do it, somebody needs to step up, or we will simply have a band, and that's what we'll do, if that's as far as we get. So we're in the process of finding entertainment for the whole week, for the whole rest of the year. I've sent Louise dates of all the things we want to do, Cinco de Mayo, the New Year's Eve, the Halloween, the Labor Day, Veterans Day, those kind of things. But we also want to try to fill in weekends like we did before with just music, and I'm working in conjunction with the cafe to try to get some events on the patio at the cafe, since we all have nice furniture and you can face the lake instead of the garbage. So, we did upgrade that when we redid the cafe. See, I think that's about all of my stuff. Yep, there we go. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, car washing announcement policy. Go ahead. Yeah, I want you to do it.
All right. Well, effective right now, you are allowed to wash your car. If you want to use a third-party service, like they wash your coach, and they bring their own water in the big tank, like they always have done, if they want to charge you a little bit of money and wash your car, they're free to do that. Same rules apply. If they have to use a pressure washer, they have to bring their water in, they can't refill in the resort. They have to do it in your driveway. It can't be out in the street. So, you're free to do that. The other option is you can wash your car yourself. But, we expect you to use the bucket method, just like you would your golf cart. Use a bucket, fill it up, use a sprayer hose, and be sparing. I mean, we still have to recognize we're in a desert environment, and that water is precious. So do it in your driveway. It runs off into your grass. That's great. You're not really wasting water. It's 10 gallons about to wash a car. So just use your adult judgment. If you don't want to wash your car, we're not saying you have to wash your car. You can take it to town. I've done it many times. I've waited and waited in line and paid the money and did it myself. But that's what we decided to do. Juan is going to be, we measure all the water that comes out of the ground out here. We account for every drop and we report it to the water board. They're very happy with the way we do things. Nobody else around here does it that way. Nobody is all unmetered. So we're going to monitor this. If there's an orgy of car washing and it becomes completely out of control, then we're going to change the policy back. So please use your judgment, save water, use a sprayer, no open hoses, and that's the policy.
Yes.
Wait, one more thing is, remember, washing your concrete pad does not get involved in that aspect at all. That's still a per person basis. You still have to check in with the GM to find out whether or not that's approved. So please just keep it to either your rig or your vehicles.
I must admit that when we changed this policy, and it's a pilot program to see how it's going to work, quite frankly. We can change it back anytime we need to. We're going to be monitoring the water very closely, and we've got to watch each other. And I think it's a matter of just using some common sense, everybody. If we all do that, we really go spraying on the water, I think we'll be okay. But if it turns out to not be okay, then we'll change back to the way we had it before. But I talked to a lot of people. A lot of people hit me up about this before, and we talked about it. We decided to make the change. And since we've done it, I've been getting hammered on it. And I just didn't, so many people are just so against it. And I guess they just assume we're going to run our wells dry and have issues. And I hope that's not the case. I really do. And so we have to really be spraying on the water still. If you see your neighbors wasting water, everything still applies. We have to be really careful that we're still in well water here. And we've had rain this winter, but not enough that we're okay. So we still got to watch it very closely. So, pools and spa repair. Juan.
Okay, so where we at with the spas? So I know it may seem like they've been down for quite some time, especially the homeowners. The homeowners spa, it's one of our original spas here. Unfortunately, we found out yesterday that it has a major leak on the return line underground. So this is going to be a major repair, which is we're going to have to cut the concrete and, you know, schedule somebody to come and do that, and that's not something we can do in-house. So unfortunately, that was going to be down for some time. The pool is now open and heated, the homeowner's pool. Spa number 1 is open and heated. Pool number 1 is open and heated. Spa number 3, 4, and 5 will be open. The 3rd, they'll be heated and open. So the reason why it takes so long is once they plaster the spas, we got to wait 4 weeks before we can turn the heaters back on because it will ruin the heaters. The dust from the plastering will ruin the heaters. So that's why it's taking so long, but that's where we are right now. We passed our final inspection as far as the plastering goes. They've been updated to their current codes because, you know, some of these spots are getting up there in the years. So they were all updated to their current standards, and we passed inspection, so we're good there. That's it.
Juan, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't this the first time that they've been done since they were installed?
The spas, yes, that's
Yeah.
correct.
Yeah.
The pools were done about 8 years ago.
Okay.
7 years ago.
Okay.
I do want to add, once the leak on spa number 1, I'm sorry, the owner's spa, once that gets fixed, then we will take down spa number 1 and work on that one, because right now we just haven't touched that one so that we wouldn't have all 5 down.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, next we'll get into, what? Frank something.
Ryan, me again.
Okay.
As it was already said earlier when Ron was going over the budget, but as you know that we changed security companies from Securitas to MPS. Like he said, the reason for that was we were having some managerial issues, so we just decided that it was time for a change. They are local here. They do Bell Lake. They also do Lake Riverside Estates. So they're local here. They're known in the area. We thought that the first of the year was a good time to change them out. Sometimes it has nothing to do with employees or anything. Sometimes it's just due for a change once in a while. So the board decided that it was time for a change with some of the issues that we were having. As you see, there is 2 returning members that were with Securitas, and then we've also got Greg back from when he was gone here, when he left. So make sure you get out there and thank them and say hi, and hopefully they're still doing the same job. It's not that we went with somebody who's going to protect us anymore, but like you said, it cost us a little less. Prices were going up, and we were going to actually pay more for Securitas, but you know, like I said, with the issues we were having, it was not worth the headache to stay, so we decided to change out. So,
Thank you. Now, a quick announcement. Since we changed from being run, self-maintained or maintenance, self-run. Yeah, you guys know what I'm trying to say, the office and everything. Since we changed to associate a year and 3 or 4 months ago, especially in the initial changeover, we had issues, which I kind of thought we were going to because we're making a major change in our business, basically. The reason for we did it were valid. We had good reasons for doing it, and to this day, we did the right thing. However, over that period of time, we've had certain issues come up, and we were analyzing the issues, trying to figure out how to make things work better for our owners, for our office staff, for everybody concerned. So what we did is we talked to the Temecula office, which is currently the people that we signed with is Temecula, and discussing our issues with them. and they suggested we discuss our problems with the Palm Desert office of Associate. Mainly because they manage, I believe, was it 3 or 4?
Actually 6.
Okay, 6 RV resorts just like us. And this place is, well, similar. Okay, but very similar to what we are. Where Temecula had absolutely no experience in managing a place like our RV resort like this. So we thought that was probably part of our problems with dealing with that office there. So we're going to change our business. We're staying with Associate, we're just changing to Palm Desert office. And we really feel good about this change. And Keith is the, like I said before, the COO, I'm sorry. CFO. Yeah, he's a big guy anyway. He's a really smart big guy. Anyway, so he's going to discuss a little bit about the change we're going to make, how it'll impact you folks and going forward here.
Good afternoon. We're very happy to have you join where we're called branches within Associate, just so you'll get used to that term possibly. And DRM has been with Associate for 8 years now, but we've been in business for 30 years in the Coachella Valley, and we manage everything from Hemet to Big Bear, the Coachella Valley. You're the first one on this side of the hill. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, we get used to acronyms. I mean, I work, again, in corporation, so there's a lot of acronyms. Desert Resort Management, and again, we've been in business in the Coachella Valley for 30 years. This is our 30th year in business. We manage now about 198 associations, everything from 4 units to 3,500 homes. So we do the whole gamut of it. As Mike said, we manage 6 similar RV resorts, and they're varying types. We also manage 22 on-site offices, so we're very familiar with on-site staff and working with them and having different staff. Everything from maintenance to security. We have a maintenance department in-house also. So we do a lot of things, and we now have over 300 employees, so we have our own in-house HR team, as well as our corporate associate corporate back support. So we're very excited about this. We think we'll bring some real value to the staff here and you as owners. We have an executive team of 4 people. Mark Dodge is our CEO, and then myself, I'm the CFO and Senior Vice President. Rhonda Drews is our Senior Vice President of Operations, and Paula Tapia is our Senior Vice President of Management Services for the majority of our clients that are portfolio managers that manage multiple clients that are on site. So anyway, that's a little bit about us. This transition, our goal is to have this take place in the month of February, so effective March 1st, that we'll transition all of your accounting and services and the staff over to us. What that means for you as homeowners is the biggest impact is you're going to get new account numbers because of the way Associate operates, and it's in the best interest of everybody to make sure that we have all the accounting appropriate. You'll get new account numbers. We will issue those to you. You'll get a letter from us in the month of February. Again, the staff will have access to that and all that. And we have a dedicated transition manager in our team, on our team, so there's a lead person that will, hold the hand of everybody, staff, homeowners when they have questions and such. But you will get new account numbers. The good thing is that with the being still part of Associate, and I don't want to encourage people not to do things, but if you happen to send your payment in and with the old account number, it will get processed. It's just going to take time because we've got to convert it over to the new account number and all that, okay? But what you need to do is, once we get you the new account numbers, is make sure that you use the new account numbers. You'll get statements from us for the first few months, With the account numbers, you'll get plenty of notification, but please use the new account number. That expedites all of the processing, okay? You'll still send your checks to the lockbox in Los Angeles if you mail checks in, okay? If you're on ACH, which is the automatic debit where we pull the money out of your account once a month around the 5th or 7th of the month, you don't have to do anything. That converts over. All your homeowner data, one thing I would encourage you to do is make sure you have current mailing addresses and all that stuff with the office, making sure that's updated. But all that data will be switched over to us. You don't have to do anything. Again, if you're on ACH, it'll transition over. You don't have to do anything. But again, if you mail in your checks, make sure you use the new account number once you have those. If you have a credit balance, I don't know if any of you, but we have many homeowners that pay in advance. That'll all transition over, okay? Of course. And if the other one that's really, really important is if you use your bank's bill pay service, okay, where you go online and I do it, go online with your bank and sign up to have bill pay service where they send out the payment to us, you will need to create a new payment, okay? Not just change the account number in your existing one. Okay, you hear me? Okay. Delete that old one and create a new one, okay, to Rancho California RV Resort and the new account number, okay? That's where we see the biggest problems in any transition, and that's from other management companies as well as internally. We took over another, so we've been through this, we took over another management of another association that was with another branch of associate, and that's where we see the biggest problem, is when people have big bill pay service and they don't change that. Because of course, our great banking system, gotta love them, but it's electronic and it goes through a process, and then your bank says we sent it and it gets lost in the banking system. Eventually we find it and it comes back to you because we don't have it, but anyway. So if you use bill pay service, please make sure that you update that once you get the information from us. We look forward to working with you, and our team will be available and be out here quite a bit through this transition and supporting the staff here. Thank you.
Keith, you mentioned that the lockbox address where they remit to is going to be the same. I thought that was changing.
Well, the actual P.O. box is changing.
Okay.
It's still Los Angeles, okay? But it is a different P.O. box, okay? Because the P.O. box, the last 3 or 4 digits, is what identifies what branch, again, think about it as branch, it goes to. Again, if you happen to send it the wrong place, we will get it because it's all Union Bank, it's all that same thing. It'll just take us time to identify it. I, as the CFO, have access to Union Bank for view rights, so there are times in transition that I have to go through and do some searches and stuff. So, it just delays the processing. Okay.
All right, Keith, thank you. I really firmly believe that this is going to be a really good change for all of us. And I got one comment to make, and that's that we as the board had certain expectations for what this management company was going to do to represent our needs the best that they could. And we put a lot of pressure on our GM, Stephanie, because she was kind of in the middle. She works for them, and she's got the pressure from the board of directors, and I felt sorry. I mean, I really felt sorry for her a lot. She really handled it very well. And I think that problem is going to be resolved by going to Palm Desert. So this is a good thing. So, okay, Denise.
Okay, one thing I want to mention is part of my reason for wanting somebody to help with activities, so I have more time. We haven't gotten the newsletter out like we wanted to. We have, and that is problematic for people, but I have a wonderful owner sitting here in front of me, Janice Harper, who has volunteered to help us get a newsletter going. So hopefully we'll be able to get that going, and it'll be with input from the board and different things. So thank you, Janice, for that.
Okay, Frank, you want to talk about...
Okay, there's a few items here, so I'm not going to stand for this one because I'm going to need to read a lot of it. Throughout the year, we have tried to send out CCs to alert you of the projects that we've been doing. It's an email. So our CCs are your email to just kind of give you an idea of what we're doing around here. A list of these projects have either been completed or still underway as of this last year and into this year. So we've fixed the drainage over there by lots 28 to 30. During the heavy rains, those lots over there were getting flooded because of the slope of the road. And so all the water would run down and then run through their lots to get to the backside. So we had to fix those to keep those people from getting flooded. So we added drainage and we put piping in so that the water would drain out from underneath and go out towards the lake. And that was construction deficit money. We've had roof repairs to both clubhouses. They were in need. We've had signage replacement throughout the resort. We had to replace not only and or repair the front gate, but also the motors were old to the point where they couldn't hardly find any parts for it. So we ended up having to replace the motors on the front gates. As you can see, we put door locks on all the buildings. And the reason why they're locked all the time is because we've had outsiders come in and using our facilities, whether it's High Point, whether it's people from just out in the area that decide they want to use our facilities. So we've got locks on them, and that's why you need to remember what your code is to get in and out. Of course, we dug well 11 for our fresh water so that we have more fresh water available to us. We redid the storage lot for RVs and stuff. As you can see, for those that are back there, it's been we put new gravel back in there, rock I should say, put some 4x4s out there and actually made stalls instead of just park however you wanted. And so now everybody has an actual assigned spot to go back there. We redid the road to the water tank. We replaced all the TV amplifiers. As you know, last year, a lot of you weren't happy, but with the heat and the old amplifiers, we went through 5 of them last year because they burned up. They were older, they created a lot of heat, they didn't get a lot of air conditioning. The newer ones that were bought from, that Juan bought and replaced them with, are a newer brand. They run a little cooler. So hopefully those will work. We did the main clubhouse exterior paint. We did some crack repair and painting here. We did new fencing around the owner's pool. As soon as you guys are allowed in there, you'll get to see it. As you know, Stephanie was really big in renovating the fitness center. I know some of you have complained about some of the stuff was in there. We took everything out, replaced it with all brand new stuff, put flooring down and everything. So for those of you that use it, you've seen it. And I think it looks a lot better than the old one did. There was way too much stuff in there and people were tripping over stuff. As you can see that we've redone the internet. They're digging trenches, replacing all the lines and stuff. So those are some of the things we've done. We're in the process of replastering the pools, tiled some of the pools themselves, implemented a new security company. We had a committee headed by my wife, Yvonne Ojeda, and a few others, Diane Gephardt, Carol Loving, Tracy Bergen. They all redid the new owner's handbook and renter's guide. and that took them a while to get that going, to try to have to deal with the way the rules and regs are written, and then try to come up with new guides for everybody, because some of those were a little cartoonish, I should say. So they did it a little more professional style. Of course, the CC&R amendment for the 10-year rule and the Super Cs were accomplished by all you owners. We added actually the architectural thing and part of the rules and regs for water softener issues. So that way we can get rid of the salt-based systems here and go to a closed-based system. And of course, the big thing, which was the #1 thing for the last 4 years on your list, is the cafe and market. So those are some of the things that we've accomplished throughout the year. And we have projects that are ongoing or scheduled to happen. The desert landscaping in the front, which we're also planning on creating more desert landscaping. With the security issues that we've been having here with the people from the outside coming in and taking a few things here and there, the GM and maintenance have put up motion sensor lighting over on Patio Frio, and they've put some along the outer fence over here by 13 and 14, and they're planning on doing some more. We're still planning on doing the bocce ball court. Maintenance has had a list of things to do, and that kind of dropped a little further down on the list. But according to this, I think they're scheduled for on the 5th of February. So hopefully that will get up, because I know some of you'd like to go play bocce ball. We're still working on the CC&R rewrites. As you can tell, Ron is moving along with the maintenance building. We're in the process of having to pave some of our roads. Some of them actually are going to have to be dug up and repaved because of the condition that they're in, and some of them will just get the patches over the top and maybe some slurry or something. And then, of course, we're going to improve and possibly add more security cameras. So those are what's on the agenda. And those are the things that we've, like I said, the first part of the list was what we've done, and then the second part is what's still scheduled to happen. So,
okay, thank you.
So.
Okay. Well, that's impressive. You guys work really hard, don't you? Okay, Denise, now we'll go to the owner's comments section. So, do we have where they seated? Do we have them?
Check back there, make sure there's no the cards here.
Okay, so you're going to do that?
Yeah. Okay, I checked a minute ago and there were none there, no others there. So if you have any cards that you need to turn in, please do so now. We did have one pre-submitted question from an owner, but they're going to collections, so we do not choose to answer their questions in public at this time. Well, you don't get to complain if you're not going to pay your dues, right? Then we had one other pre-submitted question that I'll let Ron, it was addressed to Ron, if you all would bear with us.
Yeah, I think I got all the pre-submitted questions. The first one, and I'll just read it as they submitted it. It said, Ron, on December 30th, it was voted on and passed by the board to raise our dues $10 a month, 5 for the reserves and 5 for operating costs. The Independent Reserve Strategist Company recommended that we add the additional amounts to our account so that we can take care of our aging infrastructure and to cover our newly acquired assets. The additional monies for the operating budget would cover the increase we are seeing in higher insurance premiums, typical increases from our suppliers, and for any pay increases they are to give our employees. So the question is this: if you didn't think that these were reasons to vote in favor of the increase, what was your recommendation to the board to handle these concerns without doing the increase? Well, it's kind of ironic that the guy that voted against the budget is the one that explains the cost to you, but I thought that was pretty good. But first, let me respond to this by saying that, for one, I have the utmost respect for the other board members. When that includes Bob Senfin, who is no longer with us on the board, as well as our support staff from Associa, who prepare a lot of this information. Preparing the budget and presentation to the board was Bob's responsibility as treasurer, not mine. So he did all the pre-work on that. Back at the end of last summer, I expressed to the board my expectations that we would have a long and exhaustive process of reviewing the budget and looking for potentials for savings. With all the ongoing business of the HOA, we quickly got to the end of the year, and the budgeting process ran out of time. The reserve study, required by Davis Sterling every 3 years, was not executed in time to give the board enough time to study and challenge the details. So when the budget was finally presented in a board meeting, the expectation was a quick review and approval. The first pass and recommendation was to increase your dues by $25. I was not alone in opposition to this size of an increase. I personally challenged several of the items, including some items recommended from the reserve study, to be executed in 2018. We were able to get it down to $10 based on this discussion. This amount of dues increase is $71,000 on a budget of $3.3 million. I think there are still savings to be had to offset this, but we ran out of time to pursue it. I realize that my vote was one of protest and did not change the result. I will never apologize for trying to hold the line on costs and getting the best value for money for our owners. We have some owners living on very modest incomes, and they are in my thoughts every time we discuss a matter of spending. Going forward, we will proceed with a policy of closely monitoring our spend and a target of beating our budget. I have many ideas on reducing costs, yet still maintaining the quality of our beautiful resort. If you think that is crazy, then please vote against me in the upcoming election.
Okay, then we had a written question submitted from Yvonne Ojeda, Bill Dawson, and Jeff Lay. This says, from my perspective, our current plastic fence is not a deterrent for intruders. We know the intruders have in the past climbed over, through, or under the fence. At the October 17 meeting, the fence was discussed. Where does the board stand with this issue? What is the next step to get this done? A vote? MPS stated when they became our security company, the first thing they would like to see is a more secure fence. Anybody?
Yvonne, I told you at the onset when you guys started the Neighborhood Watch program and were so extremely successful, you're going to kill our fence. I'm just kidding though. But anyway, the problem's going to be is that you guys did such a good job that it makes it hard to go to the owners and say we need $500,000 to improve our fence line when there's virtually no crime occurring. That was my thinking on the process. Now, you guys are taking a hiatus for a while, which is well earned, and more power to you. It's great, and hopefully things don't start turning back the other way. Because unfortunately, I'm thinking that until we start becoming victimized again, the majority of the people that reside here are not going to want to spend a bunch of money on a fence. And that's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it's based on anything. We can take a vote, we can discuss it, that's fine. And on your side, that fence is a piece of garbage around this resort. It's a boundary. It's a marker is all it is. It's not designed to keep bad guys out. And not that the improved fence will necessarily keep bad guys out, but it sure be a lot better than what we have. But putting in the lights along the fence line over by the 100s over there is a step in the right direction. It's a rather inexpensive way to maybe prevent intrusions on that fence line, and we can add to it from there. But as far as the fence goes, we need it. I have no doubt about it. It's going to come up again. I just felt personally that going to the owners and saying we need an assessment, we need to raise your dues to pay for this fence, is really be kind of difficult at that point when there's nothing going on. And that's just saying how great of a job you guys did. So that's my opinion.
And Mike, I'll add to that $500,000 is the way low estimate. That's a project that is very subject to additional costs as you're going, because it's a lot of linear footage. You can only go 6 feet high without getting a special permit. The magnitude of the length of fencing may actually require studies and a permit as well. So it's a very problematic project that could have much higher costs than that. So, you know, $500,000 is definitely the low end. My own calculations, I'm thinking it's more of $1 million too. But, you know, it depends on what you do and how pretty it has to be. You know, a prison fence is a lot cheaper, but, you know, we don't want that.
Well, also, guys, a fence, according to, and it is a paragraph in our CUP that addresses fencing, it has to be 18 inches off the ground. I don't know about you, but I could crawl under 18 inches. And some of these tweakers out there weigh about 5 pounds. So that's, you know, but if we need to do it, we will address it again and move forward. But it will be a vote by the owners before we could do that much money. Okay, so a couple of questions I have here. Jim Harper, 398, how are visitors to the restaurant handled? I'll go ahead and answer that. We have hang tags, specific tags for the visitors. They're checked, a driver's license and license plates are written down as they come through. They're given the bright lime green tags that they're supposed to return as they leave. To this point, we haven't had problems. I've checked with the cafe several times. I've talked to our security people. They said people are perfectly fine in doing that and they're getting their passes back. We haven't caught people driving around doing any damage or anything. If we do, then we'll change that policy, but that's what it is for now. But they are being checked in by security. Janice Harper, 398, wants to know if the agenda can be handled or sent out prior to the meeting. Yes, it can be. We will try to do that in a constant contact and email blast to you ahead of time. It has been posted for a week, over a week in the office. That yellow board in the small clubhouse is for HOA activities, and we do post all the agendas and things there ahead of time. So you can check on that also. Let's see. Dennis, 311. I think that's the word, wants to know about mailboxes on site. Not likely to happen as far as the post office goes because we are not supposed to be living here as a permanent residence and we do not get mail here. If we are able to find a spot, it could possibly be entertained that we could have slots for owners, but that's 592 slots. And I guarantee you people will leave their stuff in there for years and then it just becomes a junk hole and not sure where you're going to put 592 little mailboxes anyway. So not that it can't be done, but that would take some doing. Let's see, this is from Elaine Bellis, lot 137. She wanted to know about the status of the owner spa. We've already addressed that. Flower beds look terrible. Is anybody responsible for their upkeep? They have looked bad since Pam left. I'm concerned about the outdoor perimeter of the golf course. That looks terrible. Lots of weed grass and only dirt showing. Sorry, I can't read very well. Not acceptable for our resort. Any place to improve, if not why, our common areas. Some of that could be sort of addressed to one, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, so as far as our flower beds, the process has not changed. We still have the same planter guys. We still do the mulch the same time of the year, twice a year. They're still being sprayed the same. We do have 2 planter guys and we have a lot of planters, so they're not going to get to them every week. The grass does grow pretty fast, so they're definitely doing their best to keep up with them. I will check into that, but the process has not changed.
Okay, we've read all the written questions and pre-submitted questions. If anybody has comments or questions, you're welcome to come up here. You need to state your name, your lot number, and you have a 2-minute limit. Oh, nobody came up, we're done. No. Nice try.
Is this open? Okay, I'm Joe Crispino, lot 261. And I did something that I haven't done for a long time and should have done, and that's gone into the website. And going into the website, there's a section in the website that says all of the information or documents. And I'm looking at the documents of the homeowner's website, okay? To me, these should be brought up. I'm looking at it, financials that are way back in 2015, 2016. We're looking at HOA minutes. We used to have HOA minutes on the website, and now we have nothing but videos on the website. as far as that goes. Now, minutes are important. We had, you requested that the minutes of the the board meeting minutes there were about 15 of them or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. They're supposed to be included, a general part of them are supposed to be included in the minutes of the meetings. And I don't know that they are included in the minutes of the meeting. And the minutes of the meeting should be published on the website, I believe. I just want to say that if we look at all of this stuff on the documents, they're very, very lax, extremely lax, and it should be brought up to date.
Joe, you're absolutely right. We're working on that. There's just been some issues with Associa and a few things, so we are working on that, and they're going to be posted. As far as the executive sessions, the membership is not allowed to have executive session minutes.
No, it's not the minutes. It's not the minutes themselves, but it's a listing of what was like an agenda that was done on those. That has to be. That's part of the Davis Sterling Act, by the way. The agenda has to be included in those minutes.
And I did state that we had meetings with several homeowners regarding past due amounts and sanctions for owner threats. Those aren't done in one meeting. That's what most of those meetings were regarding, is those two major subjects, not counting third-party vendor. And so I guess I thought that we were doing that.
My name is Larry Turman. I own 163. It was a disastrous lot when I bought it. It was behind in dues. It was everything you could think of. And I have converted it to a very nice lot. I'm still in the process of getting it where I want it. And Frank has worked very graciously with me. But I hired a contractor that was in here to do the roof on my coach. It is a disaster, a total disaster. It's to the point where I'm probably going to have to take it to some place and get a new roof put on it. Can I say this fellow's name?
Sure.
What Max? Is that the way it's done?
Yeah, close enough.
Don't let him touch your roof on your camper. I don't even want him to wash mine, so y'all do whatever you want to, but I'm just giving you fair warning that he is a outlaw, crook. Whatever y'all, I just wanted y'all to know that, and I'm proud to be here. I've been here a year, but I've owned the lot for 3 months.
Yeah.
About 3 months now, and I love it. It's a great place to be. I just came back from Mississippi on a visit, and it was 6 degrees down there. I won't be going back.
Thank you, Larry. And thank you for sharing that experience with everybody. Appreciate it.
There's one more in front of you there. Oh.
I was not at the meeting, last meeting, because I had the flu. And but what was discussed at the last meeting was the litigation. And I wanted to ask a few questions on the litigation, if I could. Number one was, you referenced that there was it cost us several $1,000s in the litigation. I think our portion of it, which was the deductible plus the legal fees. Where was the money taken from to pay the litigation costs? Was it taken out of the operating budget or was it taken out of the reserves?
Ron Scott.
Any cost for legal comes out of the operating budget. We have one for legal. It went, if you noticed in the information, it went way over. Not only from litigation, I can't segregate out the litigation by itself, but all of the other issues like through the balloting process and issues we had with owners, all of that is all commingled. And then we had, and that only is legal. We had deductibles to pay to settle some litigations. That's paid, that's in the insurance category. And of the items that we had, I believe it was a little less than $10,000 that we paid out for that.
Okay.
And that's also out of operating.
Is there an accounting for that any place? Or in other words, the total cost of our cost associated with the
That's
litigation?
it. That's it, between that and the legal. That's all.
Is that done on a per litigation? I think instead we have one that is over and done with and one that is still pending. Is that correct?
Yeah, some of that stuff crosses years, so it's hard to tell.
They're both done. Both those
they're both
cases
done.
they're done, and we signed privacy agreements on both of them, so we can't really discuss details of either one. However, our attorney monitored both cases in addition to the insurance company's attorney, so we paid our attorney to monitor on our behalf.
So none of the funds came out of the reserve then?
No.
You know you can pay them.
That's true. It's 6 of one, half dozen another. If you spend it out of operating, it's money you can't put in the reserve that's left over. So it ends up, it's the same kind. It's money is money. It's just what pocket it's in.
Bend down. That's smart enough to figure it out. Hey, I just want to talk about 4th of July. I hope somebody steps up for that. It was a big success every year. It's a blast. We all like to do it. I can't step up this year to man it, but you'd be surprised at how many volunteers step up underneath and help. I'll be there to help. There's a notebook that all the previous people that have done have made a great notebook that tells you exactly step by step how to go through it. So I really hope somebody steps up and does it.
Thank you. That's Mike Odell, lot 107, I believe.
Anybody else? Okay.
Nothing?
Nothing.
Okay, then, I want to give thanks to Pat, Hank, and John. I'm sorry, I just drawn a blank there. John, for doing the AV work. Thank you guys very much for that, for your help in that. And with nothing else going on, we'll call the meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Real quick, if you guys look at the bottom of your thing, it also has upcoming meetings already pre-posted, so that way you'll have an advance warning already here.
Voting back to the back.